The alarm screamed through the construction zone like a dying animal. Taman looked up from his welding work just in time to see the plasma cutter explode in a shower of sparks and fire. The massive machine, which had been cutting through metal beams all morning, suddenly went wild. Its laser arm swung in a wide arc, slicing through support cables and safety barriers. Everything happened in seconds, but Taman's mind seemed to slow it all down. He saw the thick metal beam above him start to fall. He saw 3 Quilxian workers freeze in terror, their crystalline bodies glittering under the emergency lights. He saw the plasma cutter's arm swing toward a group of smaller aliens near the wall. Taman moved without thinking. His body just reacted. He shoved the nearest Quilxian worker hard, sending the insect-like alien tumbling away from the falling beam. Then he tried to jump clear himself, but he was too slow. The beam, weighing more than a small vehicle, came down directly on him. The impact drove Taman to the floor. He felt something in his back crack, heard his ribs snap like dry branches, and then the weight of the beam pressed down on his chest. The air rushed out of his lungs. Pain exploded through his entire body, white-hot and terrible. For a moment he couldn't breathe at all. His left lung had collapsed under the pressure. Then the plasma cutter's damaged arm swung one more time. A burst of superheated energy splashed across Taman's left arm. The smell of burning flesh filled the air. His skin bubbled and blackened. The pain was so intense that his vision went white at the edges. Around him, Taman heard screaming. Other workers had been hit by falling debris or caught by the wild plasma bursts. Through the haze of pain, he could hear someone crying for help in a language he didn't understand. He could hear the emergency klaxons blaring. He could hear his own heart pounding in his ears like a drum. For most species in the Galactic Union, these injuries would mean instant death. A Quilxian with a crushed chest would die in seconds, their crystalline organs shattering like glass. A Felrathi with spinal damage would never move again. The small Vrixian workers whose bones were hollow like birds would have been pulverized. But Taman was human, and humans were different. He forced himself to think through the pain. His training kicked in, the same training he'd received on Earth before coming to space. First, assess the damage. He couldn't feel his legs properly, which was bad. His back was broken, no doubt about that. Several ribs were cracked or broken. His left arm was badly burned. He could only breathe with his right lung, and even that was difficult with the beam on his chest. But he was still conscious, still alive, still able to think. Taman opened his eyes and looked around. The beam was pinning him down, but it had landed at an angle. It wasn't crushing him completely. There was maybe 10 centimeters of space between the beam and his body. Not much, but enough to keep him from being flattened. He could hear footsteps running toward the accident site. Help was coming. But there were others who needed help more urgently than him. That Quilxian worker he'd pushed was lying still on the ground nearby. One of the Vrixians was trapped under some fallen equipment. Hey! Taman's voice came out as a raspy croak. He tried again, louder. Hey! Someone help the others first. I'm okay. That was a lie, of course. He was very much not okay. But he'd been hurt before. Broken bones, burns, concussions. This was worse than anything he'd experienced, but his body knew what to do. Already his adrenal glands were pumping chemicals into his bloodstream. The pain was still there, but it was becoming distant, manageable. His heart rate increased, forcing blood to his vital organs. His body was going into survival mode. The first responder to reach the scene was Engineer Paralyze, a senior Quilxian. The insect-like alien skidded to a stop when he saw Taman under the beam. His translator device crackled with shock. Dead. The human must be dead. No one survives that, Paralyze said to someone else. His compound eyes reflected the emergency lights as he moved closer. Then he saw Taman's eyes were open. Impossible. You're alive. Yeah, Taman managed to say. Listen, you need to check on the others. That Quilxian worker over there, I don't know if they're breathing. And there's a Vrixian trapped under... You have a beam on your chest, Paralyze interrupted, his voice high with stress. Your body is crushed. How are you speaking? It's not that bad, Taman lied again. Every breath felt like knives in his chest. I need you to get a lifting rig. We need to move this beam carefully. If you lift it wrong, it might fall on someone else. Paralyze stared at him for a long moment. Then his translator made a sound like a click of understanding. He spoke into his communication device, calling for medical teams and heavy equipment. More workers arrived. Some ran to help the injured aliens scattered around the construction zone. Others gathered around Taimin, staring at him like he was a ghost. One of them, a young Felrathi with blue-green skin, looked like she might faint. "The human is talking," she whispered. "With a broken back, he's talking." "Someone get that lifting rig here now," Taimin said, his voice stronger now despite the pain. His adrenaline was really flowing now. "And be careful. This whole section is unstable. One wrong move and we could have another collapse." It took 10 minutes to get the heavy lifting equipment into position. During that time, Taimin stayed conscious and aware. He gave instructions on how to stabilize the area. He told them which supports to reinforce first. He even managed to joke with one of the workers, though his laugh turned into a painful cough that brought blood to his lips. The medical team arrived just as they were ready to lift the beam. Dr. Velthra, the station's chief physician, rushed forward with her medical scanner already active. The Quilxian doctor's crystalline face didn't show emotion the way a human's would, but her body language screamed disbelief. "Readings are... This can't be right," she said, looking at her scanner. "Your spine is fractured in 3 places. 1 lung has collapsed. 4 ribs are broken. 3rd-degree burns cover 40% of your left arm. You should be unconscious. You should be paralyzed. You should be dead." "Yeah, I feel pretty bad," Taimin admitted. "Can you give me something for the pain after you get this beam off me? Get it off him? You want to move?" "Doctor." Velthra's voice rose to a pitch that her translator struggled to handle. "Moving with these injuries will kill you." "Staying under this beam will definitely kill me," Taimin pointed out. "So let's get it moving." The lifting rig engaged with a hydraulic whine. Slowly, carefully, the workers raised the beam off Taimin's chest. He gasped as the pressure released, and for a moment the pain was so intense that his vision went dark. But he didn't pass out. He couldn't pass out. Not yet. As soon as the beam was clear, Dr. Velthra tried to push him down flat. "Don't move, we need to stabilize your spine." But Taimin was already moving. Using his good arm and working through waves of agony, he pushed himself up to a sitting position. The world spun around him. His back screamed in protest, but he stayed upright. "That Quilxian worker," he said, pointing with his burned arm toward where he'd pushed the alien. "Is he alive?" "Yes, thanks to you," Pralkith said quietly. "You saved his life." "Good," Taimin said. Then, before anyone could stop him, he started to stand up. The medical team erupted in protests. Dr. Velthra grabbed at him with her multiple limbs, trying to force him back down. But Taimin kept rising, his legs shaking but functional. His broken back made every movement torture, but he could feel his legs. They worked. Sort of. "I can walk," he said. "I'm walking to the medical bay." "That's over 200 meters away," Dr. Velthra shrieked. "You'll die before you get there." Taimin took 1 step. Then another. His vision swam with pain, but he could see the corridor that led to the medical section. He could make it. Humans were good at walking. They'd evolved to walk long distances, to keep moving no matter what. "Someone helped the Vrixian under that equipment," he said over his shoulder. "They're hurt worse than me." And then Taimin started walking, leaving a trail of shocked alien workers behind him. Each step was agony. Each breath was fire in his chest. But he kept moving, 1 foot in front of the other, because that's what humans did. They survived. The walk to the medical bay was the longest 200 meters of Taimin's life. Every step sent shocks of pain through his broken body. His vision kept blurring at the edges. Twice he had to stop and lean against the wall, breathing hard through his 1 working lung. But he didn't fall. He didn't stop moving. Dr. Velthra followed behind him like a nervous shadow, her medical scanner beeping frantically. She kept talking into her communication device, her voice high and stressed. Other medical staff rushed past Taimin, heading to help the workers still at the accident site. They all stared at him as they passed, their alien faces showing confusion and fear. Halfway to the medical bay, Taimin passed a Quilxian worker sitting against the wall. The alien had a long crack running through their crystalline arm. They were holding it carefully, making small clicking sounds of pain. When the workers saw Taimin, their compound eyes went wide. "You," You're the human who was crushed, the Quilxian said. How are you walking? Slowly, Taimin said, trying to smile. It came out as more of a grimace. You okay? My arm is fractured. I cannot work for weeks. The Quilxian looked down at their injury, then back up at Taimin. You have burns. Broken bones. Crushed organs. But you walk. Yeah, well, Taimin said, starting to move again. Humans are stubborn like that. When he finally reached the medical bay doors, they slid open with a soft hiss. The bay was already busy with injured workers from the accident. Medical staff rushed around, treating burns and broken limbs. The air smelled like antiseptic and something sweet that Taimin didn't recognize. A young Felrathi nurse looked up and saw Taimin standing in the doorway. She dropped the medical tool she was holding. It clattered on the floor. Dr. Velthra, the nurse called out. The human is here. I know he's here, Dr. Velthra said, rushing in behind Taimin. He walked here despite my orders to stay still. Get me a medical bed now. Taimin let them guide him to a bed in the corner of the room. When he sat down, relief flooded through him. His legs had been shaking for the last 50 meters. He wasn't sure he could have made it much further. But he'd made it here, and that was what mattered. Dr. Velthra immediately began scanning him again, her movements quick and precise. More medical staff gathered around, including Dr. Onira, a Felrathi specialist with skin that shifted from blue to green when he was stressed. Right now he was very green. His vital signs are impossible, Dr. Onira said, looking at his own scanner. Blood pressure at 200/130. Heart rate at 140 beats per minute. Body temperature rising to 40 degrees. For a Felrathi, these readings would mean death in minutes. What about for a human? Dr. Velthra asked. I don't know, Dr. Onira admitted. We have limited data on human physiology. Earth only joined the Union 5 years ago. Most medical stations don't have human-specific equipment or protocols. Taimin listened to them talk about him like he wasn't there. His adrenaline was starting to wear off and the pain was getting worse. Much worse. His left arm felt like it was still on fire. His chest hurt with every breath. His back was a solid wall of agony. Hey, he said, his voice rough. Can I get some painkillers? Dr. Velthra looked at her scanner, then at a medical chart on her data pad. The standard pain medication for your body weight would be 5 milligrams of synthanol. She prepared an injector and pressed it against Taimin's neck. There was a soft hiss as the medication entered his bloodstream. Taimin waited. The pain continued unchanged. That didn't work, he said after a minute. What do you mean it didn't work? Dr. Velthra checked her equipment. That dose would make a Quilxian sleep for 6 hours. I barely feel it, Taimin said. Human painkillers are stronger. A lot stronger. Dr. Onira made a gurgling sound that his translator turned into a worried sigh. How much stronger? Try 10 times that dose, Taimin suggested. Maybe 20 times. The two doctors looked at each other. Dr. Velthra's body language showed clear distress. That much synthanol would stop your heart. It would stop anyone's heart. Then use something else, Taimin said. His teeth were starting to chatter. Shock was setting in now that the adrenaline was fading. Look, I know this is weird for you, but humans are tough. We evolved on a dangerous planet. Our bodies can handle a lot. Before anyone could respond, the medical bay doors opened again. A human woman in a nurse's uniform rushed in. She was in her late 20s with short black hair and sharp eyes that quickly scanned the room. When she saw Taimin, she ran over. Bayul, Taimin said, relieved to see a familiar face. Hey, I heard there was an accident in the construction zone, Nurse Bayul said. She looked at the alien doctors. What's his status? Dr. Velthra began listing the injuries. As she talked, Buell's expression grew more serious, but she didn't look shocked. She just nodded and started checking Taimin's wounds herself. Okay, Buell said when the doctor finished. First, we need to stabilize his spine, but not with standard equipment. Human vertebrae are different from Quilxian crystal structures. We need something flexible. Flexible. Dr. Onira looked confused. Broken bones need rigid support. Not human bones, Bayul explained. Our bones are designed to absorb impact. They flex before they break. Even broken, they need room to move slightly, or the body will reject rigid support. She turned to Taimin. I'm going to give you something for the pain. It's from the human medical supplies. This is going to hurt. Everything already hurts, Taimin said. Buell prepared a different injector and administered it. This time Taimin felt the medication take effect. The pain didn't go away, but it became more distant, like it was happening to someone else. He could think more clearly now. Better? Biol asked. Much better, Taman confirmed. Dr. Velthra watched this interaction with obvious fascination. What medication did you give him? Human-grade morphine derivative, Biol said. The dose I just gave him would kill 3 Quilxians or 5 Felrathi. For him, it's just enough to take the edge off. Incredible, Dr. Onra muttered. The human body is incredibly resistant to chemical intervention. Biol started issuing instructions to the alien medical staff. She showed them how to position Taman to protect his spine without using rigid braces. She explained that his collapsed lung would reinflate on its own if they just gave it time and oxygen support. She demonstrated how to treat his burns with a combination of human and alien medicines. The alien doctors followed her directions, but Taman could see they were disturbed by what they were learning. Every treatment protocol for humans was different from what they knew. Everything about human biology seemed designed to confuse and frighten them. His body temperature is still rising, Dr. Velthra noted, checking her scanner again. 40.5 degrees now. Should we cool him down? No, Biol said firmly. He's fighting infection. Humans run hot when we're healing. It's normal. If his temperature goes above 42 degrees, then we worry. 42 degrees would cook my brain, Dr. Onra said quietly. Yes, but he's not Felrathi, Biol pointed out. Human brains can handle higher temperatures. We evolved in hot climates. Our bodies learned to deal with heat. Dr. Velthra pulled up Taman's medical file on her datapad. As she read through it, her body language shifted from stressed to shocked. These records show previous injuries. A broken leg at age 15, fractured skull at 19, severe burns at 23, multiple broken fingers and ribs over the years. Yeah, I played sports when I was young, Taman said. His voice was getting drowsy from the medication. And I've worked construction for 14 years. Accidents happen. These aren't accidents, Dr. Velthra said. These are injuries that should have killed you or disabled you permanently. Yet your records show full recovery from all of them. How? Human bones heal stronger than before when they break, Buell explained. Our skin grows back over wounds. Our organs can regenerate damaged tissue. We have backup systems for almost everything. 2 lungs, 2 kidneys, a liver that can regrow itself. We're designed to survive damage. Dr. Onra was looking at Taman like he was a dangerous animal. Your planet, Earth. What kind of world produces creatures like this? A dangerous one, Taman said. His eyes were getting heavy. Predators, diseases, natural disasters. Humans survived because we were too stubborn to die. Deathworld species, Dr. Velthra said softly. I've read about them. Planets where survival requires extreme adaptation, but I never understood what that meant until now. Buell was setting up monitoring equipment around Taman's bed. He needs rest now. His body is already starting to heal. In a few days, you'll see his bones begin to knit. In a few weeks, he'll be walking normally again. Weeks? Dr. Onra shook his head. These injuries should take months to heal. Years, even. For your species, maybe, Buell said. But humans heal fast. It's what we do. Taman felt himself drifting toward sleep. The medication was pulling him down into darkness. But before he lost consciousness, he heard Dr. Velthra talking to Dr. Onra. We need to update all our medical protocols, the Quilxian doctor said. If more humans come to this station, we need to be prepared. They're not like any species we've treated before. They're frightening, Dr. Onra admitted. The amount of damage they can survive. It's unnatural. No, Buell said firmly. It's very natural. It's just different from what you know. Humans aren't fragile. We're resilient. And the sooner you understand that, the better you'll be able to help us. Taman smiled slightly as he fell asleep. Even in his damaged state, surrounded by worried alien doctors, he felt oddly proud. Humans were survivors. It was their greatest strength. And now the galaxy was learning that lesson, one broken bone at a time. Taman woke up to the sound of arguing voices. His body still hurt, but the pain was different now. Less sharp, more like a deep ache in his bones. He opened his eyes and saw Dr. Velthra and Dr. Onra standing near his bed, both looking at medical displays that floated in the air between them. The bone-knitting gel isn't working, Dr. Onra was saying. His body is rejecting it. Look at these readings. His immune system is attacking the treatment. We have no choice but to try, Dr. Velthra insisted. Without the gel, his spine will take months to heal properly. What's going on? Taemin asked. His voice was rough from sleep. Both doctors turned to look at him. Dr. Velthra approached his bed, her movements cautious. You're awake. How do you feel? Like I got hit by a building, Taemin said honestly. Which I guess I did. What's this about my body rejecting treatment? Dr. Onra brought the medical display closer so Taemin could see it. The images showed his spine with glowing areas where the fractures were. Around those areas were clusters of red dots. We applied Quilxian bone knitting gel to your vertebrae, the Felrathi doctor explained. It's the standard treatment for spinal fractures. The gel helps bones fuse back together quickly, but your immune system is treating the gel like an infection. These red dots are white blood cells attacking the treatment. Of course they are, Nurse Buell said, walking over from another part of the medical bay. She'd been there all night, monitoring Taemin and other patients. Human immune systems are aggressive. We evolved fighting off diseases that would wipe out most species. Our bodies attack anything they don't recognize. So what do? Dr. Velthra asked. Without treatment, his recovery will be slow and possibly incomplete. Biol thought for a moment, then pulled up some information on her own datapad. We need to modify the gel, make it more compatible with human biochemistry, mix it with something his body will recognize as friendly. Like what? Dr. Onra asked. His own bone marrow, Biol suggested. We extract some, mix it with the gel, and reapply it. His immune system should accept it then. Dr. Velthra's body language showed uncertainty. That's not a standard procedure. We've never done anything like that. Nothing about treating a human is standard for you, Taemin pointed out. I trust Biol. If she says it'll work, let's try it. The procedure took several hours. They had to carefully extract bone marrow from Taemin's hip, which was one of the few parts of his body that wasn't injured. Even with pain medication, it hurt. But Taemin had experienced worse pain in the last 24 hours. He gritted his teeth and endured it. While they worked on preparing the modified gel, other medical staff dealt with Taemin's burns. The plasma had destroyed most of the skin on his left arm. For a Quilxian or Felrathi, such burns would mean permanent damage, but human skin could regenerate. A young Quilxian nurse named Krila was assigned to clean and dress the burns. She worked carefully, her crystalline fingers gentle despite their hardness. Does this hurt? She asked every few minutes. Yes, Taemin always answered honestly, but it's okay. Keep going. Krila seemed disturbed by his tolerance for pain. Among my people, burns like this would require stasis sleep. The pain would be too much to bear while conscious. Humans have high pain tolerance, Taemin explained. We had to develop it. On Earth, you could get hurt hunting or gathering food or just walking around. If you stopped every time something hurt, you'd never survive. Your world sounds terrifying, Krila said softly. It could be, Taemin admitted, but it was also beautiful. Dangerous things often are. By the third day, the modified bone gel was working. Taemin's spine was beginning to heal. The swelling around his vertebrae had decreased significantly. He could feel his legs better now, could wiggle his toes without much difficulty. Dr. Velthra checked his progress every few hours, documenting everything obsessively. Remarkable, she muttered, studying the scans. The healing rate is 3 times faster than I predicted. Your bones are actually fusing stronger than they were before. That's normal for humans, Biel said. She was teaching the alien doctors everything she knew about human medicine. Broken bones heal with extra calcium deposits. It's a defense mechanism. The body reinforces the weak point. Dr. Onra shook his head in amazement. Evolution on your world must have been brutal. It was survival of the fittest, Biel agreed. And humans got very good at surviving. But not everything was going smoothly. Taemin's collapsed lung was taking longer to reinflate than expected. The trauma to his chest had been severe. Dr. Velthra wanted to use a Felrathi breathing enhancer, a device that would force his lung to expand. But Biel argued against it. Human lungs are self-regulating, she explained. If we force it, we might damage the delicate tissue. Better to support his breathing and let nature take its course. But he's only operating at 60% lung capacity, Dr. Onra protested. That would be critical for any species. Humans can function on much less, Biel said. Mountain climbers on Earth regularly work with reduced oxygen. His body will adapt, she was right. By the 4th day, Taemin's lung had partially reinflated on its own. He could breathe more easily now. though deep breath still caused sharp pains in his chest. The ribs were healing too, faster than the alien doctors expected. They'd used a flexible wrap instead of rigid braces, following Biol's instructions. The wrap allowed Taemin's chest to expand when he breathed while still providing support to the broken bones. On the 5th day, Taemin asked if he could sit up. Dr. Velthra was hesitant, but Buell helped him into a sitting position. It hurt, but Taemin could do it. His back was still damaged, but it was functional enough for simple movements. "This is unprecedented," Dr. Velthra said, scanning him again. "5 days ago you had catastrophic spinal damage. Now you're sitting up." "Humans are built to bounce back," Taemin said. He was tired of lying down. Sitting felt good even though it hurt. "How are the other workers?" "The ones who got hurt in the accident. Most have been treated and released," Dr. Onra reported. 3 are still here with serious injuries. "The Quilxian you saved is making a full recovery. He wants to thank you personally." "I'd like that," Taemin said. "And the investigation? Do they know what caused the accident?" Buell's expression darkened. "Captain Juan is handling it. But preliminary reports suggest sabotage. Someone tampered with the plasma cutter safety systems." Taemin felt a cold anger cut through his pain. "Someone did this on purpose?" "They're still investigating," Buell said carefully. "But yes, it looks intentional." Before Taemin could respond, the medical bay doors opened. A tall human man in a security uniform walked in. Captain Juan was in his mid-40s with graying hair and the bearing of someone who'd seen combat. He nodded to Buell, then approached Taemin's bed. "Good to see you sitting up," Juan said. "How are you feeling?" "Been better," Taemin admitted. "Buell says someone caused the accident." "Is that true?" Juan's expression was grim. "We found evidence of tampering. The plasma cutter's safety protocols were deliberately disabled. We're tracking down who had access to the equipment." "Do you know why?" Taemin asked. "That's where it gets complicated," Juan said. He pulled up a holographic display showing security footage. "We found messages on the station's network. Someone has been spreading anti-human propaganda, claiming we're too dangerous to be in the Union, that we're violent predators hiding our true nature." Dr. Velthra made a clicking sound of distress. "I've seen those messages. I thought they were just ignorant fear-mongering." "Most of it is," Juan agreed, "but some people believe it. And one of them decided to prove their point by causing an accident that would kill humans. But the accident killed other species too," Dr. Onra pointed out. 3 workers died. None of them were human. "I don't think they cared about that," Juan said. "Extremists rarely think their plans through." Taemin felt sick, and not from his injuries. People had died because someone was afraid of humans. Workers who'd done nothing wrong were gone because of hatred and fear. "Find them," Taemin said quietly. "Find whoever did this." "We will," Juan promised. "I have my best people on it." "And Taemin, what you did, saving that Quilxian worker, pushing him out of the way, that's the real nature of humans, not the violent monsters these extremists claim we are." After Juan left, the medical bay was quiet for a while. Dr. Velthra continued her work, but Taemin could sense her discomfort. Finally, he spoke up. "You're worried," he said. "About humans. About me." Dr. Velthra's body language showed surprise that he'd noticed. "I am conflicted. Your capacity to survive damage is frightening, but your capacity for courage is admirable. You saved a life at the cost of your own safety. That's what anyone would do," Taemin said. "No," Dr. Velthra corrected. "That's what humans do. Most species would have tried to save themselves first. You didn't hesitate. You pushed the other worker to safety, even though it meant you would be hit instead." "I had a better chance of surviving," Taemin explained. "I knew that instinctively. My body is tougher than a Quilxian's. It was logical." "Logical courage," Dr. Onra mused. "Perhaps that's what makes humans so formidable. You understand your own resilience and you use it to protect others." Buell smiled. "That's humanity in a nutshell. We're survivors who learn to help each other survive too." That night, Taemin's fever spiked. His body temperature rose to 41 degrees as his immune system went into overdrive, fighting infection and accelerating healing. The alien doctors panicked, but Buell kept them calm. "This is normal," she repeated over and over. "His body is working. Let it work." And she was right. By morning, Taemin's fever had broken. His burns were showing signs of new skin growth. His bones were knitting together faster than before. His body, battered and broken, was rebuilding itself. Dr. Velthra made detailed notes of everything, documenting the incredible resilience of human physiology. She was beginning to understand that humans weren't monsters. They were survivors, shaped by a harsh world into something remarkable. On the 7th day, Taemin stood up. Dr. Velthra had left his bedside for just a few minutes to check on another patient. When she returned, she found Taemin on his feet, gripping the bed rail for support. His legs were shaking and sweat covered his forehead, but he was standing. "What are you doing?" The Quilxian doctor rushed over, her multiple limbs reaching out as if to catch him. "You could damage your spine further." "My spine is healing," Taemin said through gritted teeth. "I can feel it. The bones are fusing. I need to start moving or my muscles will atrophy." Nurse Biol appeared from around a corner, took one look at the situation and sighed. "You couldn't wait until I was here to spot you?" "Sorry," Taemin said, though he didn't sound sorry at all. I needed to know if I could do it. Can you?" Buell asked. Taemin took a step, then another. His movements were slow and careful, but he was walking. Dr. Velthra made distressed clicking sounds, consulting her medical scanner frantically. "His spine is stable," she reported, sounding amazed. 70% healed already. The vertebrae are fusing correctly, but this should take weeks, not days. Human healing accelerates after the first week, Buell explained, staying close to Taemin in case he fell. His body has assessed the damage and prioritized repairs. Bones first, soft tissue second. Taemin managed 3 steps before the pain became too much. He lowered himself back onto the bed, breathing hard. But he was smiling. "I did it. I walked." "You're insane," Dr. Onra said, entering the room with a medical cart. "Wonderfully, impossibly insane. A Felrathi with your injuries would never walk again. Yet here you are 7 days later taking steps. It's not insanity," Taemin said. "It's physical therapy. The sooner I start moving, the faster I'll fully recover." Over the next few days, Taemin pushed himself harder. With Buell's supervision, he walked short distances around the medical bay. Each day he went a little farther. The alien patients watched him with mixtures of awe and fear. Some whispered when he passed, their translators carrying words like impossible and Deathworlder. By the 10th day, the burns on his left arm had healed enough to remove the bandages. New pink skin covered most of the damaged area. It would scar, but it was functional. Taemin could move his fingers again, though they were stiff. "The scarring is minimal," Dr. Velthra observed, examining his arm. "For burns this severe, I expected permanent disfigurement." "Human skin regenerates well," Buell said. "We evolved in harsh sunlight. Our skin learned to repair itself from radiation damage, which helps with burn recovery too." Taemin flexed his fingers, testing their range of motion. It hurt, but pain was just information. His hand worked. That was what mattered. Word of the walking wounded humans spread throughout the station. Aliens from various species began visiting the medical bay, curious to see the human who'd survived impossible injuries. Dr. Velthra had to establish visiting hours to prevent the bay from becoming too crowded. One visitor was Pralkith, the Quilxian engineer who'd been first on the scene after the accident. He brought the worker that Taemin had saved, a younger Quilxian named Jixtal. "I wanted to thank you," Jixtal said through his translator. His crystalline body shimmered with emotion. "You pushed me out of the way. You saved my life. Anyone would have done the same," Taemin said. "No," Jixtal said firmly. "Most would have tried to save themselves. You made a choice to protect me, even though it meant you would be injured instead. That is courage I have never witnessed before." Pralkith added, "The entire engineering crew wants you to know that we consider you a hero. When you return to work, we will ensure your safety with better protocols." "I appreciate that," Taemin said. "But I'm not a hero. I just did what needed to be done." After they left, Dr. Onra commented, "Humans have a strange relationship with heroism. You perform extraordinary acts, then dismiss them as ordinary." "Because they are ordinary," Buell said. "For humans, protecting others is instinctive. We're social creatures. We survived on Earth because we worked together, protected each other. One human alone is vulnerable. Humans together are unstoppable." On day 12, disaster struck. Taemin was walking a lap around the medical bay when suddenly his vision blurred. His legs gave out beneath him. He collapsed to the floor, his body going limp. The medical staff rushed to his side. Dr. Velthra's scanner showed that his blood pressure had dropped dangerously low. His heart rate was slowing. For a terrifying moment, it seemed like his body was shutting down. "What's happening?" Dr. Onra demanded, preparing emergency equipment. Beale pushed through the crowd of medical staff. She checked Taemin's pulse, pulled back his eyelids to check his pupils, and then relaxed slightly. "He's crashing," she said. "His adrenaline is finally depleted. His body has been running on emergency reserves for almost 2 weeks. Now it's forcing him to rest, and is he dying?" Dr. Velthra asked, her voice high with concern. "No," Beale said, "but we need to put him in light stasis. Not to preserve him, but to let his body heal without him fighting it. He's been pushing himself too hard." They moved Taemin to a stasis pod, a transparent chamber that would slow his body's functions just enough to promote healing. As they settled him inside, Dr. Velthra studied the readings carefully. "His body is remarkable," she said quietly. "For 12 days he operated on willpower and survival instinct. Now that he knows he's safe, his body is demanding the rest it needs." "It's a survival mechanism," Beale explained. "In dangerous situations, humans can push beyond normal limits. Once the danger passes, we crash. It's how we evolved to handle emergencies." Taemin spent 3 days in light stasis. During that time, Captain Juan made an arrest. The saboteur was a Thalnari attaché named Zilmoth, who worked for Ambassador Kivrex. Zilmoth had been part of an extremist group that wanted humans expelled from the Union. The news caused a scandal throughout the station. Ambassador Kivrex publicly denounced Zilmoth's actions, but many questioned whether the ambassador had been involved. Tensions between humans and some alien species increased. When Taemin emerged from stasis, he felt different. The crushing fatigue was gone. His body felt rested for the first time since the accident. He sat up slowly, testing his range of motion. Everything worked. Not perfectly, but well enough. Dr. Velthra was there when he woke. "How do you feel?" "Hungry," Taemin said. "And stiff. But better, much better." "Your spine is 95% healed," the Quilxian doctor reported. "Your ribs have fully fused. Your lung is operating at 85% capacity. The burns are scarred but functional. In summary, you've made what I can only describe as a miraculous recovery." "Not miraculous," Taemin said. "Just human." Over the next week, Taemin continued his recovery. He walked longer distances each day. He did exercises that Beale prescribed, rebuilding his strength. The alien medical staff watched his progress with continued amazement. Dr. Velthra spent hours interviewing him about human physiology, medical history, and Earth's evolutionary pressures. She was writing a comprehensive paper on human medicine, the first of its kind in the Galactic Union. "I want to understand," she told Taemin during one of their sessions. "How did humans become this way? What made your species so resilient?" Taemin thought about it. "Earth is what they call a death world, right? High gravity, dangerous predators, extreme weather, diseases that could wipe out entire populations. Humans didn't have claws or armor or venom. We just had our brains and our ability to work together. We survived because we were adaptable and stubborn." "Stubborn," Dr. Velthra repeated. "Yes, I'm beginning to understand that. You refuse to accept defeat, even from your own injuries." "Something like that," Taemin agreed. "My grandmother used to say, 'Fall down 7 times, stand up 8. That's human philosophy in one sentence." On day 21, exactly 3 weeks after the accident, Taemin walked out of the medical bay under his own power. No assistance, no support, just his own 2 legs carrying him forward. A small crowd had gathered to watch, including Captain Juan, Pralkith, Jixtal, and dozens of other station residents. They applauded as he walked past. Some species clicked or chirped or made other sounds of approval. Taemin felt embarrassed by the attention, but also proud. He'd survived. He'd healed. He'd proven that humans belonged in the stars. Dr. Velthra walked beside him to the medical bay doors. "You'll need to come back for regular checkups. Your recovery is excellent, but not complete. You should avoid heavy lifting for another month." "I will," Taemin promised. "And thank you. You and your team saved my life." "No," Dr. Velthra said. "You saved your own life by being human. We just helped where we could. You've taught me more about medicine in 3 weeks than I learned in years of study. Humans are truly remarkable." "We're just survivors," Taemin said. "Like everyone else. We just have more practice at it." As he walked away from the medical bay, Taman felt the station's artificial gravity pulling at his healing bones. It hurt a little, but pain meant he was alive, and being alive meant he could keep moving forward. That's what humans did best. 3 months after the accident, Taman stood in the construction zone where everything had happened. The area had been completely rebuilt. New safety systems were everywhere. Better emergency protocols, stronger structural supports, backup systems for the backup systems. The station administration had learned from the tragedy. Taman ran his hand along one of the new support beams. His left arm still had scars from the plasma burns, pink and shiny against his skin, but the arm worked perfectly. He'd regained full strength and flexibility. Sometimes he forgot which arm had been injured. Impressive, isn't it? Captain Juan walked up beside him. The new safety systems cost a fortune, but they're worth it. Nothing like that accident can happen again. It should never have happened in the first place, Taman said. Have you heard anything more about Zilmoth? He's awaiting trial, Juan reported. The evidence is overwhelming. He'll spend decades in a rehabilitation facility. Ambassador Kivrex resigned in disgrace. The new Thalnari ambassador is much more open-minded about humans. Good, Taman said. He didn't feel anger toward Zilmoth anymore, just a weary sadness. Fear made people do terrible things. What about the families of the workers who died? The station is providing full compensation and support. It's not enough, but it's something. Juan looked at Taman carefully. How are you doing, really? I'm good, Taman said honestly. The doctors cleared me for full duty last week. My back is completely healed. Dr. Velthra says the bones fused even stronger than before. That's not what I meant, Juan said gently. You nearly died. You went through something traumatic. How are you handling that mentally? Taman considered the question. I have nightmares sometimes. About the beam falling, the sound it made. But I'm dealing with it. Biel recommended I talk to a counselor. It helps. That's good, Juan said. You're a hero to a lot of people on this station. But you're also human. It's okay to be affected by what happened. I know, Taman said. I'm working on it. They walked together through the construction zone. Workers from various species stopped to greet Taman, asking how he was feeling. He'd become something of a celebrity on the station, though he didn't like the attention much. Later that day, Taman had an appointment at the medical bay. Not for treatment, but for a presentation. Dr. Velthra had finished her research paper on human medicine, and she was presenting it to the station's medical staff. The conference room was packed. Doctors and nurses from dozens of species filled the seats and lined the walls. At the front of the room, Dr. Velthra stood beside a holographic display showing various images of human anatomy. Thank you all for coming, she began. Today I want to share what I've learned about human physiology through the treatment of patient Taman. This research has fundamentally changed my understanding of Deathworld species and their medical needs. The presentation lasted an hour. Dr. Velthra explained everything. Human bone structure, pain tolerance, immune system aggression, healing rates, redundant organs. She showed scans of Taman's injuries at various stages of healing. She demonstrated the differences between human medical needs and those of other species. The key lesson, Dr. Velthra concluded, is that humans are resilient, not fragile. When treating a human patient, we must adjust our expectations and protocols accordingly. What would be fatal to most species might be survivable for a human. What seems like impossible recovery is actually normal for their biology. During the question period, a young Felrathi doctor raised her hand. But isn't this resilience dangerous? If humans can survive such terrible injuries, doesn't that make them threats to other species? Dr. Velthra's body language showed firm disagreement. No, resilience is not aggression. Yes, humans are physically tougher than many species. But I have observed that humans use their strength to protect others, not harm them. Taman saved a Quilxian worker at great cost to himself. That is the true nature of humanity. Taman, sitting in the back of the room, felt his face grow warm with embarrassment. He'd asked Dr. Velthra not to make a big deal about that, but she'd insisted it was important context. After the presentation, several doctors approached Taman with questions. They wanted to know about human pain thresholds, healing processes, immune responses. He answered as best he could, though he was no medical expert. Dr. Onra, the Felrathi specialist, seemed particularly interested. Your people must have sophisticated medical knowledge to deal with such durable bodies. We do, Taman confirmed. Earth has been practicing medicine for thousands of years. We had to learn how to treat injuries that other species wouldn't survive long enough to treat. Fascinating, Dr. Onra murmured. I would like to visit Earth someday to study your medical techniques. You should, Taemin encouraged. We'd be happy to share what we know. The following week, Taemin returned to work. Not in construction, though. He'd been promoted to safety coordinator for the entire station. His job was to review all safety protocols and ensure they protected workers of all species, including humans. It was strange, sitting in an office instead of working with his hands. But Taemin understood the importance of the role. If he could prevent another accident, another tragedy, it was worth trading his tools for a data pad. His first project was updating the medical emergency protocols. He worked closely with Dr. Velthra to create species-specific treatment guidelines. For humans, they stocked specialized medications and equipment. For Quilxians, they added protocols for treating crystalline fractures. For Felrathi, they installed temperature-controlled recovery rooms. We're making the station safer for everyone, Dr. Velthra said during one of their planning sessions. But I must admit the human protocols are the most extensive. Your species requires so much specialized care. Because we're complicated, Taemin said with a smile. But worth the effort, I hope. Absolutely, Dr. Velthra assured him. Since we implemented these new protocols, I feel confident we could handle any medical emergency. Even another incident like yours. Let's hope there isn't another incident like mine, Taemin said. 6 months after the accident, the station held a memorial ceremony for the workers who died. Taemin attended, standing with the families and colleagues of the deceased. He laid flowers at the memorial plaque, each bloom representing a life lost. Jixtal, the Quilxian worker Taemin had saved, stood beside him. I think about them often, Jixtal said quietly. I lived because you saved me. They died because of someone's hatred. It's not fair. No, Taemin agreed. It's not fair at all. But we honor them by making sure nothing like this happens again. By building a safer station. By working together instead of fearing each other. You've changed minds here, Jixtal said. Before the accident, many species were uncertain about humans. They saw you as potentially dangerous, unpredictable. Now they see you as protectors, heroes. That's your legacy. I'm not a hero, Taemin protested, but Jixtal cut him off. You are. You saved my life. You showed everyone what humans truly are. That's heroic, whether you accept it or not. Later that evening, Taemin sat in his quarters recording a message to his sister Jiwoo. She was serving with the human expeditionary forces on the frontier, and they didn't get to talk often, but he tried to send regular updates. Hey Ji, he said to the camera. Things are good here. The station is safer now and I'm helping make it even better. You were right about the aliens freaking out when I got hurt. They really didn't understand how tough humans are, but they're learning. Dr. Velthra wrote this whole research paper about treating humans. It's going to be taught in medical schools across the Union. He paused, thinking about what to say next. I know you're out there doing dangerous work. Please be careful. I know that's funny coming from me considering what happened. But you're my little sister. I worry about you. Try not to scare too many aliens with your combat skills, okay? We're supposed to be making friends, not showing off. He smiled. Stay safe. Or as safe as people like us can be. I love you. After sending the message, Taemin stood and walked to his window. Outside, he could see the stars stretching into infinity. Somewhere out there was Earth, humanity's dangerous, beautiful home. Somewhere else was his sister, protecting human interests on distant worlds. And here, on this station, he was building bridges between species. Humans had come to the stars not as conquerors, but as partners. Yes, they were tough. Yes, they could survive injuries that would kill most species. But that strength came with compassion, with the instinct to protect others, with the stubbornness to keep trying even when things seemed impossible. The door chimed. Taemin turned to see Nurse Buell standing in the corridor holding a data pad. Sorry to bother you after hours, she said. But I wanted to show you something. She handed him the pad. It displayed a news article from Earth talking about Dr. Velthra's research. The headline read, Human Resilience Amazes Galactic Medical Community. We're famous, Buell said with a grin. The whole Union is talking about human medicine now. Several major medical stations have requested training materials. Dr. Velthra has been invited to give lectures on 3 different worlds. That's good, Taemin said. The more they understand us, the less they'll fear us. Exactly, Buell agreed. She looked at him seriously. You did this, you know, by surviving, by being brave, by showing them what humans really are. You changed minds. I just did what any human would do, Taman said. I know, Beale said. That's what makes it so powerful. After she left, Taman returned to his window. He thought about the accident, about the pain and fear and long recovery. He thought about the workers who died, about Zilmoth's hatred, about Ambassador Kivrex's resignation. He thought about all the changes that had come from one terrible day. And he realized that despite everything, something good had emerged. The station was safer. Medical care was better. Species that had feared humans now understood them. Barriers had been broken down. Bridges had been built. His back still ached sometimes, especially when the station's artificial gravity fluctuated. His left arm bore permanent scars, but these marks were reminders of what he'd survived, what he'd overcome. They were proof of human resilience. Taman smiled at his reflection in the window. Behind him, his quarters were modest but comfortable. Beyond the window, the stars called to humanity's future, and inside him, his bones had healed stronger than before, just like humans always did. He'd fallen down. He'd stood up. That's what humans did. They survived, they adapted, they kept moving forward. One step at a time, one day at a time, building a future among the stars. The galaxy was still learning about humanity. They'd learned humans were tough. Soon they'd learn humans were also kind, creative, passionate, and endlessly stubborn about making things better. Taman was just one human, one story, one example. But he'd shown them something important. Humans didn't just survive for themselves. They survived so they could protect others, help others, build a better world for everyone. That was the real lesson of his recovery. Not that humans were hard to kill, but that humans refused to give up on life, on each other, on the future they were building together. And that, Taman thought, was something worth surviving for. He turned off the lights in his quarters and headed to bed. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new work, new opportunities to make the station better and safer. His body would be ready for it. Healed, stronger, resilient. Just like humanity itself.